Welcome to the Waiver Wire. Waiver Wire.
Waiver Wire.
Waiver Wire.
Waiver Wire.
Waiver.
When the night has come and the moon is dark and the land is dark, something like that, and you know that you'll stand inside me. What up? Welcome to the Waiver Wire, where fantasy players become fantasy legends. We are back. Been a minute. Been a hot goddamn minute. Not a lot going on in the sports world. I kind of, I stay a little sports centric here on the Waiver Wires. So I didn't really have a lot to talk about. Been kind of doing my own life. But we're back. I'm working on setting up some Zoom. We might be doing some Zoom podcasts with my boy from the last time, from Mr. Luke. So that'll be great. Life's been good. Check out my locks, my beautiful locks of hair that have been sprouting from my head. I don't know if you know this, but Houston, Texas is the surface of the sun. So I don't much care for all this hair, but my wife likes it, and that's all that matters. Don't believe anything they tell you, ladies. The men want to please you, okay? So if your man is like, no, I'm my own man. I want to do my own thing. He really wants to please you. So tell him what he's supposed to do, and he'll just fucking do it if you're a good man. If you understand that you don't want to go hunt, I don't hunt for my food. I don't go out every night trying to catch fish and deer or whatever it is, and rabbit to bring home so that we can cook it over the fire. We go to the grocery store and we keep the food here because this is the modern age. Same concept with the puss. I don't want to go hunting for my puss. I want my puss to be here, just staying at the house. So I will do whatever it takes to keep the puss here. One of my wife's little ways of controlling me is she loves to say, "Do you even like this pussy?" And I have to just, yes, I do. I do like that pussy. So I will put up with whatever's going on, and I will say, "You're right. I'm wrong." I don't know how we got on this, but, I'm going to try to have more guests on. We're getting back into fantasy football here very soon. We're going to get into I've been watching all the things. Let's get into it.
First down.
Wow, so I just looked it up. It says it was 1 month ago today that me and Luke did that podcast. Or 1 month. I don't know if it was today because I think we did it on like a Sunday, but about a month ago that I did that podcast with him, and we had a great time. Probably could have gone for even longer than it did, but I love that guy, and I love seeing him, so we're going to do more. I've watched so much in that time. I was writing them down last night. I was like, God damn. I think me and my wife have turned a corner on the watching shows. Usually I wanted her to be very involved. I wanted always, us to watch them together. But then the other day, or about a month ago probably, I was like, hey, listen, I'm just going to start watching stuff. And if you jump in on it, that's great. But, maybe we just don't need to watch things together. Maybe like I'll just watch a bunch of stuff and you'll catch up where you can. And she loved it. I thought she was going to hate the idea, but she doesn't really want to watch things the way I do. She butterflies around, she floats around, so she really doesn't need to sit down and watch something the way that I have to sit down and be focused on it. So it worked out great, and because of that, we've been just banging and banging and banging and banging. Let's see. In order of what was probably the longest ago was Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I don't know if we even talked about it. It might have been a month ago where me and Luke might have talked about it, but I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a really, really, really good finale, although I don't really believe Marvel, and I don't believe any of those people, other than maybe Dave Bautista. Apparently he is done with that whole thing. But I would assume that at some point they could bring all those guys back. I'm going to tell you right now, I assume at some point Tony Stark is going to walk through a multiverse window and just be like, I'm here now. So Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I thought it was funny. I thought the action was great. They teased us quite a bit We thought maybe Rocket was going to die. I thought Star-Lord, I thought Chris Pratt was going to die. He probably should have died, being of how long he was in space. But you know, they tease you, and then they would save him, and tease you, and then they'd save him. So, overall, I thought it was a great movie. All the Guardians of the Galaxies have been amazing, and this one was no different. It made you feel you really fall in love with the Rocket character because you get so much background in his life. But I thought it was awesome. I thought it was awesome, and it was probably the best Marvel movie that's come out in a really long time because Marvel really has kind of been struggling. I guess just to stay in that same realm, we can talk about Secret Invasion as well. Secret Invasion is the show with Nick Fury and Ben Mendelsohn, who plays Talos, is the Skrull that from Captain Marvel. And then we have a new bad guy. It gave me very serious Falcon and Winter Soldier vibes at the beginning. You know, just the whole group that's like the rebel group. I still don't know, even right now, especially like if you go by the episode that just happened. Nick Fury saves the president, runs off in a car, but how am I supposed to believe that Nick Fury with a gun is going to defeat all of this? It's just him. It's just Samuel L. Jackson. There are no other Avengers here helping. It's just that part's a little bit hard to believe. This last episode, though, I will say that was pretty good. Especially from the standpoint of that this machine that the Skrulls got has now given them powers. Like the guy had Groot's powers. They had that invincibility power from Iron Man 3 where the guy, you know, could regenerate super fast. So I was impressed with all that. I thought that this was probably the best episode. I believe this is the 4th or the 5th episode that just happened on Secret Invasion. I can't remember. But overall, man, these Marvel shows, man, it's like Moon Knight was amazing. Loki was amazing. I liked WandaVision a lot. I know I'm missing one in there, but the majority of these shows have been really low quality. And Hawkeye and Falcon and the Winter Soldier and things like that, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, these shows have sucked. And Secret Invasion is not suck, but it's right on the line of suck. And so I don't know if I'm a huge, oh yeah, I gotta go watch it, but it's not bad. It's not bad. Speaking of not bad, is The Patient. We watched the entire. We actually I had a day off and we binged like we normally don't. Carrie, my wife included. We went all the way through a show called The Patient with Steve Carell. And I don't know what else that guy's. I think he's like in Star Wars and things like that. The guy who plays the Jeffrey Dahmer type character, but. Steve Carell is a therapist, and he meets with a lot of people at the beginning, but then you also see this one random Jeffrey Dahmer guy, this character, and he wakes up at the end of the first episode, and he is chained to the floor in a basement, and the guy shows up and is like, look, I kill people. And I need your help because I got to stop and I don't know how to stop. So you're going to help me. And it was really interesting. I mean, the suspense was there. The acting was really great from Steve Carell and this guy. I can't think of the guy's name, and I feel bad because he is really good in it. You don't really know what's going to happen. Spoiler alert. I don't know if I care for the ending where he does just end up killing Steve Carell, and that's, all of this was kind of for naught, but it was a good show. It was a good show, and it's on Hulu. They're 30-minute episodes, so it's real quick to kind of just burn through it. But it was really good. Another one that we watched, the new season of Black Mirror came out. There was only 5 episodes. I thought all 5 were really good. Not as technology driven. It seemed more kind of like horror or fantasy, with the werewolf and the one with the one where they go to Scotland and they find out that the mom was actually this murderer. That one was crazy to me. That one had a really, really trippy ending to it. The first one with Salma Hayek, that one's probably the best one as far as Black Mirror goes. I like the Josh Hartnett and the Aaron Paul one. I didn't really see it coming. That's what I thought. I thought Josh Hartnett was using Aaron Paul's body and that he was going to try to go and kill the people that killed his family, to kill that little Manson family reboot. But instead, he just wiped out Aaron Paul's family. Jesus, Leesus. And that was pretty intense. I'm trying to remember what the fifth one was. Oh, the demon one. Yeah, that one was okay. It was kind of funny, but it really had nothing to do with technology. It's very interesting that they kind of went away from technology in the last two. The werewolf one was sort of about, paparazzi and things like that. But overall, Black Mirror doesn't miss, and I thought all 5 of these were really good. I'm here for it. Black Mirror. You should go watch all of Black Mirror because it is fucking trippy. Some of them are great, some of them are not so great, but they all kind of make you think, and it was quality. Sticking to Netflix, I guess we'll talk about Extraction 2. Woo! Let's fucking go. That's an action movie right there, baby. I just watched the Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary right before that, and which was great. You should check that out on Netflix too. The show Fubar, the Arnold Schwarzenegger show, I watched that actually before Extraction 2. That I do not recommend. That is a bad show, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is not a action star anymore, and we shouldn't continue to behave like that he is. But Chris Hemsworth and Extraction, they stepped their game up. This was fucking awesome. I love the Rocky training in the woods. Because first of all, he should have died, right? Like in the first one, he gets shot so many times. He gets shot in the neck, falls into the water. There's no way this man survives this, but they find him, they rehab him. He gets a message that his ex-wife's sister is in trouble, and he's got to go save. Let's go. The one shot, that one really long shot when they were in the prison and he's going through all the prisoners and the guards and all the stuff that he has to go through to get out of that prison was incredible. Incredible. I'm going to pass out. It was incredible. It was absolutely amazing. I thought that this movie moved a lot better than the first one did. I thought the first one had good moments, and then they would kind of slow down with some of the scenes that they got into, and then it kind of struggled sometimes getting back going. I love Extraction 1, but Extraction 2 far superior. The action in this was fucking unreal. The car chase, I can't say enough. I can't say enough good things. 2 thumbs way up. Now, if you go into Extraction 2 and you're like, well, that's not how that would work. I don't understand people that go and watch movies and they're like, this isn't realistic at all. Like, yeah, it's a movie. Enjoy yourself. Let go. What the fuck is wrong with you? Iron Man doesn't exist. That doesn't make this movie bad. Good Lord. If you're going into Extraction and you're like, well, the script... I'm not quite sure about the script. Well, I don't think you get the point of this. This is for mindless action. This is to see Chris Hemsworth fuck some people up. And it was amazing. They definitely set us up for Extraction 3, 4, 5. I don't care how many you want to give me. I'll watch them all. But I loved it. And I can't say enough good things about Extraction 2. Also on Netflix, they released a documentary called Quarterback. They followed Patrick Mahomes, Kirk Cousins, and Marcus Mariota last year. It's kind of Hard Knocks-ish, although this is way more in-depth than I think Hard Knocks ever got. You're seeing them at their house. They're following them around, seeing their day-to-day, seeing them practice, seeing they're on the field. Like you see Patrick Mahomes blow up at Andy Reid about not wanting to get his x-ray and screaming and hollering. It is hilarious, though, because this show is obviously of the 3 that I just named, right? There's Patrick Mahomes, there's Kirk Cousins is kind of average, and then there's Marcus Mariota who sucks. And it just shows the different preparation, mindset, interaction with their teammates, it's totally different. It's totally different. It's not at all the same. Like, Mahomes is so much better than them in all of those aspects that I just named. All of the training, like, they're like creating the plays with Andy Reid. They're talking about what they want to call it, and they're coming up with it themselves. He's screaming at Max Crosby. He's getting fired up on the sideline. Again, just his injury alone. You know, I will say I did not realize how much Kirk Cousins got hit last year. He got hit a lot, and they show you it in pretty good detail of how much he's got hit the most last year. But you know, Mahomes didn't want to be dragged out of that game. You couldn't. He was pissed that he was getting taken out of the game. Kirk Cousins is whining the whole time. My ribs. And Marcus Mariota doesn't say shit and doesn't have much demeanor and doesn't have much leadership. And his team fell apart because of it. And he fell apart because of it. And he's studying plays with his wife. And you can tell that it's a real struggle for him to get it down. You know, just hilarious the difference in who they are. But I'll tell you what it did tell me about Kirk Cousins. He's a loser. Mahomes is a winner. As a Tom Brady fan, I'm a little nervous because this guy is serious. He's serious about his body. He's serious about taking care of himself. He's serious about Kansas City and having that be a long-lasting relationship. Already to have won 2 is worrisome. He might be nipping on our heels as far as 7 Super Bowls. I still don't think I can say right now definitively he's better than Tom Brady, because if you look at the longevity of Tom Brady, it's unbelievable. But that's not the point. Yeah, I thought the quarterback was awesome. I watched that pretty quickly. I loved it. It was like the best Hard Knocks that you've ever seen. Mahomes is so far and away better than any other quarterback. I just think that Joe Burrow's maybe the closest thing to him just because of his confidence and the way that he plays. But a lot of these other guys are gonna struggle to be at this guy's level. Just the way that he, like, for instance, very end of the documentary, he has just won the Super Bowl. He is a Super Bowl champion. They make it seem like, I don't know how quickly he gets back to it, but you see Kirk Cousins, and he's like, you know, I just, at the end of the year, I like to take some time away from football and just kind of to feel better and to kind of take a step away. And Marcus Mariota is like on the beach with his wife in Hawaii, and they're like, hey, oh, hi, yeah, I'm famous. Patrick Mahomes, he's got his jersey on. He's out there throwing routes in his backyard field that he's got made in his fucking incredible house. Just unbelievable. That's some Tom Brady shit right there. You just won. It's time to get back in the lab. We got to do it again next year. So just the total difference in those guys as quarterbacks is hilarious to watch. And you should check it out, especially if you're not. Like, I think my wife got a big kick out of it too, because you do see the home life and you see the way that the wives interact. And even Mahomes' wife, like, Marcus Mariota's wife, you can tell she's like, oh baby, you know, oh, good try, baby, the check done cleared, we're good, we got a home, you know. And Kirk Cousins' wife it just got so, I had to put gospel music in because it just got so intense there at the end. And Mahomes' wife is like, let's fucking go, you gotta get it here, babe, let's go, we gotta turn up. Like, it's just hilarious to see the difference in just who they are. And Mahomes, yeah, he's the best. Let's see, what I not... Oh. In the last episode, Mr. Luke Dalton, he told me that he firmly recommended, he said, you have to go watch The Marvelous Miss Maisel. So I started watching it. It honestly felt like the gayest thing I've ever done. At the beginning, it was like, what am I doing? I'm just a little Jewish girl, and I just feel like I'm important too. But it is good. You can tell that the quality is really good. The acting is really good in it. But I would say that I struggled through the first season until the very end. Right there at the very end, we just watched the finale of season 1, the 8th episode, and it was good. It was very good. It was like a good. They kind of brought stuff together. The stuff with the Joel and the ex-husband, I guess, is going to be the ex-husband, and the main girl really came to head. And it's just kind of cool to see her working out how to be a comedian. I thought that was really interesting. And we're going to keep going. So you were right, Luke. It is a good show. At the beginning, I didn't understand what I was doing, but I get it now. I get it. I'll tell you what I do understand, and I wanted to save it for last because I do think that it is the best thing that I watched, hands down, this month. And it is The Bear. The Bear season 2. We had just finished The Bear season 1 whenever we were doing the last podcast. So I watched all of season 1 and then binged season 2 because it was so good. I know some people had issue with it. I don't really understand the issue, but there were people at work saying that, it was all exposition, that it was more of a... It seemed like it should have been more of a first season type thing than a second season. And I don't disagree with that. I think that the first season, they kind of jump us into the restaurant. We're right in the heat of it. And then you get these great characters that they kind of wanted to flush out. So I liked the flushing out of it. I thought that was really quality. And the episode with his family, with the big family, with Bob Odenkirk and Sarah Paulson, Jamie Lee Curtis, John Mulaney, how they got all these famous people, I don't know. But that was an incredible episode. And all of it was so good. Can't wait for Bear season 3. Spoiler alert, I don't think what he said at the very end. I think the girl and him are still going to be together. That's just my opinion. I like that whole relationship for him. I thought that was cool for all that to come back. And he was just hating on himself and hating on the everything that had happened. And I think they get back together, and I think it's a good ending. But they're setting us up. They're setting us up for more seasons, and I can't wait. The Bear was really, really good, and we binged it. We binged it hard, and that's how I know it's good, because I don't binge that often anymore as an old man. So if we go through something quick, that means this was good. And The Bear, 2 thumbs way up. Actually, of all the things I wrote up here, I liked them all. I liked all these things I wrote down on here. Everything that I've talked about, other than FUBAR. Don't FUBAR. But everything else, get your bear on. Moving on.
Second down.
Football is upon us. We are very, very close to fantasy football. I actually just confirmed with Buffalo Wild Wings. I just called some lady at Buffalo Wild Wings, and we got a spot. We are fantasy football in it. End of August. So that's very exciting. We're going to do a live draft this year. I love the live draft. Nothing quite like the live draft. Doing it online, it's fine. But when you're there in person and you can go, ooh, what a dummy. Why'd he pick that? There's nothing quite like it. But, obviously we're still in the off-season football, so not a lot that I can really go into here. I have been doing some fantasy draft, some mock drafts, and just kind of seeing where I'm at. I quickly wanted to bring up the quarterbacks. Let's say you're in a 12-man league. So I wrote down the top 14 quarterbacks from last year's 2022 season. Now, one of them is Tom Brady, so you're going to have to, it's really the top 13 here that I have to pick from, that I could pick from this year if I was in a 12-team league. So number 1 was Mahomes. Number 2 is Josh Allen, Burrow, Hurts, Geno Smith. Number 6 was Kirk Cousins, Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, Justin Fields. Number 10 is Justin Herbert. Number 11 was Tom Brady. Number 12 was Daniel Jones. Number 13 is Tua Tagovailoa. And number 14 is Aaron Rodgers. So, what I'm saying is that all of those names that I named, maybe not Daniel Jones. I'm not a big Daniel Jones guy, but then again, that's the last one. That would be, he's number 11 or 12 in this scenario. But all of those guys, I'm cool with. if I have Jared Goff as my quarterback, I'm not like dying inside. I'm not like, oh my God, I'm not going to make it. Jared Goff had some really good games last year, and I think that Detroit's going to be much better this year. I think they're going to be a good team. I think their offense is going to put up points. I wouldn't be mad at that at all. I previously spoke about how I believe Kirk Cousins is a loser, and I don't want Kirk Cousins, but I actually think people would draft him higher than that, and he would get picked pretty high. There are two names that are not on here that I can add to the mix, and that is Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson. Those both can be added into the Lamar Jackson's going to go high. Lamar Jackson's going to go higher than Kirk Cousins. He's probably going to go higher than Geno Smith. He'll probably be the fifth or fourth quarterback off the board after Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and Hurts. I think Justin Fields has a much better year. I think Justin Herbert gets drafted high because people love Justin Herbert. I think Aaron Rodgers could be drafted because they're going to like him. What I'm saying is, in these mock drafts that I'm doing, I'm waiting. I am not wasting one of my top 5 draft picks on a quarterback. And especially, I get it. Mahomes is great. Allen is great. Burrow is great. It's a guarantee. You know what you're getting on your quarterback position. There could be bad games for some of these other guys. But as long as I'm not Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, as long as I'm not throwing one of those out there, if I have one of these guys and I include Deshaun Watson in that, or I include Aaron Rodgers, Tua if he's healthy, I include a lot of that in there. As long as I'm rolling one of them out there, I'm cool. And I'll wait. I'll wait till the 10th round if I have to. If the one of those guys is sitting there and I've got value at somewhere else, I'm into it. So just on the quarterback, I think that the quarterback this year is not as important. Last year, I think maybe I was a little wrong on that at the beginning, but I think it did all even out when I looked at the points last night. Mahomes was far and away better. Mahomes and Allen both scored a lot more points than Burrow. And then after that, it was pretty close. But again, Mahomes more than Geno Smith was less than 100 points. Kelsey to TJ Hawkinson is 107 points. He scored 107 more points than the number 2 guy. That's nuts. I just gave you Mahomes, Geno Smith, which was 1-5, and it's not 100 points. Just stick that in your pipe and smoke it. But we had some moves, some minor moves, some moves that maybe people think would be bigger, but I just am not really, DeAndre Hopkins yesterday signed with the Tennessee Titans. I personally don't believe that is that big a deal, but you never know. I don't think the Titans are going to be very good this year, so that is why I say I don't think it's that big a deal, but I could be wrong. I would like to say that last year, I was very down on teams like Seattle. I was very down on teams like the New York Giants, who had very good years. And I don't know, fantasy-wise, I know that I made a mistake with the Seattle Seahawks. I didn't know who their quarterback was going to be. I just kind of wrote them off. The Giants, fantasy-wise, I don't know really what you would have wanted other than Saquon. They didn't really have a receiver to speak of. This year, you could maybe argue that you want Darren Waller. I'll say fuck you to Darren Waller for the rest of my life, but that's my own personal beef. But yeah, the Titans fall into that category of that I'm just not a big believer this year, although in their weak division and being that Mike Vrabel's a good coach, they're still going to have defense. They have Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins on the same team. That's pretty good. I don't know what DeAndre Hopkins is going to get, but it's not bad. And as much as I'm a hater on it, I'm not against it. I understand if you're like, I'm going to draft DeAndre Hopkins. But he definitely went for the money. He could have gone to Buffalo. He could have gone to Kansas City. He could have gone to somewhere and tried to win a championship. But instead, he went to where he's going to get $15 million a year. And don't get me wrong. I mean, $15 million is a lot of money. So who am I to hate? But who knows? I think that you could almost extend your career by going somewhere to win rather than going to Tennessee, which now I believe that he just cut at least 2 seasons probably off of his career. But I love DeAndre Hopkins. I'll always love him for his time here with the Texans, and it'll be terrifying to see him beating us this year twice. Well, I don't know. I don't know how Houston's going to be, but I can't imagine that much better just because of C.J. Stroud. I like D'Amico Ryans, and I'm excited, but I still think we're still in the midst of a rebuild. Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook was released by the Minnesota Vikings, and he still doesn't have a home. Neither does Ezekiel Elliott. Neither does Leonard Fournette. There's a lot of running backs out there still. And so it's interesting. I think that we might see where we don't see any of these guys signed for week 1. All 3 of them. I think all 3 of those guys I just named, I think it's a possibility that they're still out there when week 1 suits up. I think people might wait for an injury. I think people might wait to decide whether or not are they actually a legit. Does Miami say, do we have a legit shot at winning? And if we do, is the running back position what's hurting us from winning? So I don't know where Dalvin Cook goes. I know that Miami is the most obvious, but I would wonder how much of a pay cut. And it's crazy because, all these running backs are saying that you don't pay running backs, but think about the last couple of championship teams. What big time running back was there on these last championship teams? Last year with Kansas City, you had Isaiah Pacheco, who was a 7th round pick. The Rams had Cam Akers, and who was the other one? But I mean, if you want to tell me that those guys were the reason that they won the Super Bowl, I'm going to laugh in your face. That's not true at all. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers that got playoff Leonard Fournette is probably one of the bigger name running backs to have recently won a Super Bowl. But other than that, if you go back through the years, it's just not always accurate. It's not accurate that you need. I mean, Derrick Henry hasn't won a championship. Jonathan Taylor hasn't won a championship. Austin Eckler hasn't won a championship. Christian McCaffrey hasn't won a championship. Saquon Barkley hasn't won a championship. These are the top running backs that have been. For Dalvin Cook has not won a championship. So as much as we want to sit here and say that the running back is important, I think the owners might be onto something. I don't know if it's super important to pay a running back a boatload of money. You know who's never done it? Bill Belichick. And I think there's some math to that. He finds good players, good running backs, and he lets them kind of by committee all play together. And anyways, running backs, I feel for you. I wish that you got more money. I just don't know if you actually deserve it. And that's me sitting here on a couch with my big fat gut, not really knowing anything. The other thing that I'm changing them kind of constantly. I'm moving things around, but I still think that my method of there are good teams, maybe teams, and teams that I will not draft from, and that's how I'm gonna do my drafts from now on. If you're on one of the bad teams, I can't pick you. I'm sorry. As much as I want to, you're on a bad team. I can't risk the fact that there are going to be weeks where you're very, very bad and you get goose eggs because you play a good team. Those teams are the New England Patriots. Who do you really want off the Patriots? Ramondre Stevenson? I hear you. The problem is there are going to be weeks where the Patriots don't look good because of Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi or whatever else you want to call it. The lack of receivers, Juju Smith being their number one. Who do I really fear on the New England Patriots? Not a lot. They're probably the 4th team in that division. So I just can't draft anybody from the New England Patriots because of that uncertainty. The Indianapolis Colts. Anthony Richardson is a young quarterback that we think is going to need time to develop. I know that he could come out the gate and prove me wrong. He might, because he is super athletic, and they have a team around him. Michael Pittman is good. Alec Pierce is good. Jonathan Taylor is obviously Jonathan Taylor, and their defense at one point was top tier. Their offensive line at one point was top tier. Now, can they get back to their winning ways next year? I doubt it. So for me, I'm out. I'm not picking Jonathan Taylor. I'm not picking Michael Pittman. I don't want that headache. The Houston Texans. I've already talked about it a little bit, but How do I sit here and say that I need Dameon Pierce that bad? I know he's going to get the rock. I know he's going to be our bell cow. There's literally not a receiver. Dalton Schultz, if you want to say, oh yeah, but he's a good, they don't have any receivers, he's going to get a lot of targets. That's true. There are going to be games where the Houston Texans get owned, and I don't have their schedule right in front of me, but there are going to be games where they just get beat up. So, I don't know. For me, not really loving the Texans, and that's here in Houston as a Texans fan. The Las Vegas Raiders. You shan't do it to me again, Raiders. I'm not in on Josh McDaniels. I'm not in on the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm not in on... that means I will not pick Devontae Adams. I will not pick Hunter Renfrow. I will not pick Josh Jacobs. I will not pick Jimmy Garoppolo, which I guess you could consider in the quarterback carousel as well as you're doing your picks. But... they don't even know if Jimmy Garoppolo is going to play. He might not even be on the team. It's part of the contract that if he doesn't pass a physical, he's not on the team. He might not even be on the team. So how am I going to pick somebody on that team? I just can't. Washington Commanders. Pretty straightforward. They're starting Sam Howell. Terry McLaurin's great, but I can't trust this group. I like Brian Robinson. I thought he was a good running back. Can't trust this group. Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young is a little small. We're going to see his transition in the NFL. They play in a really bad division, so it's possible that they get some wins. But who am I drafting on that team that I feel? Am I starting Adam Thielen? Am I starting, Miles Sanders now that he's on a new team? Am I starting Bryce Young? I doubt it very much. So I'm not really in on any of that. I'm gonna backpedal on the Panthers. I'm gonna for sure backpedal on the Atlanta Falcons. There are good players on the Falcons. Drake London is a good player. Kyle Pitts is a good player. Bijan Robinson is fucking around, and people are taking him in the first round, top 10 pick. I fell into this trap with Najee. While Najee Harris and Bijan Robinson are beasts, they are on bad teams. And I didn't realize it when I picked all the Pittsburgh Steelers a couple of years ago and got absolutely destroyed. But you cannot pick players on bad teams and then wonder why there are bad weeks. It's going to happen. Atlanta's going to have bad weeks with Desmond Ridder. But that's just my opinion. The New Orleans Saints. Again, this is almost bleed over from Vegas. I will not trust a Derek Carr led team anymore. Do I think that they are probably the favorites in my opinion to win that division? I think they probably will, and they'll get fucking their ass kicked the first playoff game that they go to, or that someone comes to them. But who am I taking? Alvin Kamara. I realize he's not going to get suspended, but we're probably at the end of the road here on Alvin Kamara's train. Chris Olave is really good. I'm out. Michael Thomas never plays. I'm out. Who else am I taking off the Saints? So no Saints for me. No Arizona Cardinals. Kyler's not even going to be back for a while. I don't know who on that team that they haven't given away other than James Conner, Zach Ertz. But I would not want either one of them because I don't believe that it's going to be a very good time there in Arizona. They're probably going to be worse in the league, if I had to guess. That's probably your number one pick next year. Them or Washington. I think that this Washington Sam Howell thing is going to go down in flames big time. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, former champions. I would love Mike Evans and Chris Godwin to have great continuing, that them and Baker somehow link up and they figure it out. I hope that's the case. I doubt it, and I doubt that they play well, and they're probably losing a lot of games. So for that reason, I'm going to not take any Tampa Bay Buccaneer going forward. And the last one I had a tough time with is the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers, they're switching over. We're going from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love. I don't want to sit here and condemn Jordan Love, but I just don't know how much he really brings to the table. And because of that, it's hard for me to get all the way on board. I just haven't seen enough out of Jordan Love. We just don't know who he is. So The rest of the teams that I didn't name, obviously I would draft from. There's some maybes. Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Denver, Giants, Rams, Bears, Cowboys, to be honest, just because. Minnesota, I've got some question marks on them from the way that they've been getting rid of people. And obviously Justin Jefferson's amazing, but who do I feel really comfortable with after that? And the Baltimore Ravens. I know that Lamar Jackson offensively, they always churn out big numbers, but who's he going to be in this new offense? I am anxious to see, not new offense, but newly paid and who he is. What do they really do? You know, what they Odell, how over under on one game for him. I'm going to take the under. Interesting team, Baltimore. They probably should be in the yes category. Those last three, Dallas, Minnesota, and Baltimore, they probably all should be in the yes. I'm moving more and more to putting Chicago Bears in the yes. I think that they're a draftable team. I'm into Justin Fields. I'm into DJ Moore. I'm into some of those picks on the Bears. I think they have a much better season. And then all the rest makes sense. Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Miami, Cleveland, Jets, Chargers, Jaguars, Eagles, Lions, 49ers, Seahawks. Those are all yeses. I think you can feel safe to say that a lot of those are playoff teams. Maybe not Cleveland, but we'll see. Maybe not Detroit, but we'll see. But yeah, a lot of those teams, playoff teams, good teams. That's where you want to draft from. That's why you're here. Waiver wire, figuring out your strategies to be a fantasy legend.
Third down.
We're playing basketball. We love the basketball. We're playing basketball. We love that basketball. Basketball is my favorite sport. I love it when they dribble up and down the court. What the fuck is going on? Oh, man. You don't remember that song? I do. We had the championship happen. The Denver Nuggets won. I don't know if we even talked about that. And actually, I do think that we talked about it, but we were still in the playoffs. But the Denver Nuggets ended up pulling that out and getting the win. I was very impressed with the team. They have a very good team. I am not going to sit here and Jokic the way that everyone else is. I think he's very good, but I think that the rest of the teams were just kind of not at full strength or not playing at their best of their abilities. And I think that Jamal Murray played very, very big. I think not enough credit's being given to him. Was Jokic putting up numbers like Shaq? Yeah, sure. But if there was something to go up against, if there was another big to actually play defense on him and go up against, unlike Anthony Davis was not able to do, unlike anybody on that team was not able to do, I think it would be a little different. But we'll see. I just wanted to briefly talk about some of the moves that have happened. Bradley Beal in a big trade going to the Phoenix Suns. They have zero depth. I repeat, zero depth. They're literally Bradley Beal. That means I didn't put it on here, but that means Chris Paul was sent to the Golden State Warriors through all of this. He went to the Wizards, and then the Wizards traded him for Jordan Poole. And Jordan Poole's life is now over because he fucked up and did not respect the group that is the Golden State Warriors, or at least the big shit-talking dog of the Golden State Warriors. It's him, Bradley Beal, to Phoenix with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant and DeAndre Ayton, although I believe DeAndre Ayton could probably get traded still. I don't think he ends up on the team long term. On paper, that's scary. Now, I didn't realize how little games Bradley Beal's played over the last few years. I don't know how many games you'd want to play if you were on the Washington Wizards either, but I do believe that this on paper is very scary. Those three guys, Beal, Booker, and Durant, they can give you 30 apiece, if not more. So the fact that you have them all on one team, if they can figure out how to play together, that is a scary, scary combination. Porzingis was traded to the Boston Celtics in a three-way trade that sent Marcus Smart to the Memphis Grizzlies. Interesting from Boston. I know that they probably love Marcus Smart. I know that the fans probably there are probably upset a little bit about that. But I didn't realize that Kristaps Porzingis had the year that he had last year. I don't watch a lot of Wizard basketball. But, they played pretty well. He played pretty well. He played the whole year. And I was impressed with just the longevity. I didn't know that he played so many games last year. His numbers were good. They need a big. They need a big to help Robert Williams and Al Horford, who's aging. So this is a very interesting move. I like the lineup of going kind of running big and having Al Horford or Robert Williams and Kristaps Porzingis switch between the 4 and the 5, and then you still got Brown, Tatum, and Derek White. You've got Malcolm Brogdon coming off the bench. Boston, I think, improved. I think Boston improved by this trade. I know people want to hate on Porzingis, but let's see. Let's see what he can do. If he can play a whole year, let's see how interesting this could be. Gabe Vincent went to the Lakers. That was one of the only kind of people moving. Kyrie went back home, back to Dallas. Everybody else kind of re-signed where they were at. But Gabe Vincent left the Miami Heat and went to the Lakers. I like that. I like that pickup. The Lakers re-signed everybody else. They signed Rui. They signed D'Angelo Russell. They signed Austin Reeves. They re-signed all these guys. They got Cam Reddish. So they got some talent. They got some nice depth. Obviously, the end of last year, the Lakers came on very, very strong. So if they can repeat that kind of thing again, I'm super into the new look Lakers. I like Gabe Vincent on that team too. Gabe Vincent was given serious buckets for Miami. So I like that a lot. Then you had the shot heard around the world. Damian Lillard finally asked for an official trade from the Portland Trail Blazers. A lot of us have probably assumed that this has been years and years in the making. I did. I don't know why he stayed so long. He has apparently told them Miami is where he would like to go. However, Miami is not into a lot of what they've got going on. They're not into the Tyler Hero. They want Bam, and that kind of defeats the purpose for Miami. If they give up Bam, then they don't get the three-headed monster of Jimmy, Bam, and Dame. I think with a third team, I think they're still going to make it happen. It's kind of one of those things of Aaron Rodgers going on Pat McAfee and saying, I want to play for the Jets. And then everyone going, okay, I guess he's going to play for the Jets now. Same kind of thing. I would like to play for the Miami Heat. All right, well, how do we make this happen? Because he's going to be super mad if that's not what happens. So, yeah, I think eventually we see Dame on the Heat. I don't know with what or whom or how they make that happen, but I think it happens. James Harden apparently is going to be moving out of the 76ers, although there hasn't really been much noise on that. I've heard Clippers. But I think the Clippers are in a very interesting spot too, where what do they do? How do they restructure this team? They re-signed Russell Westbrook. They still have Kawhi and Paul George. That hasn't seemed to work. They can't keep the two of them can't even be out there at the same time. So how could it work? And does James Harden going there for Paul George, does that help anything? I don't think so. Probably makes them worse if I'm being honest. So very interesting whatever could happen with the Clippers and James Harden. I don't know where either one of them go. Luckily, the Rockets made a big splash and went and got Fred VanVleet. I thought it was Fred VanVleet. It's Fred VanVleet. It's crazy. But we paid him a lot of money, $130 million. I don't care about that part of it because to me, the money, you do that now and then the CBA goes up and it doesn't seem as bad anymore. And there's ways out of those contracts and you can use them as trade pieces if you strike gold and you really do have something. And I will say that Jabari Smith in this summer league, he's looked really, really good. So hopefully he can transition that over into the NBA with NBA players and not summer league players. But I liked what they did. I did not like the Dylan Brooks for $80 million. My God, what are you doing? That seemed like a stretch. I thought that dude was about to be out of the league, not making fucking max money almost. But it's neither here nor there. I don't know. I kind of laid out what I think maybe the new standings would be. A lot of them stayed, especially in the East. I think a lot of that stays the same. I think you can say Miami might have a better year just based on what they did last season. You're going to see Brooklyn probably fall out of that top 8 just because they don't really have anybody. Although they do have kind of a deep squad, they could still be okay. Mikal Bridges starts behaving like he's a superstar. Who knows? I didn't see a lot of change in the West either, to be honest. It's going to be those same teams. I had the same 10 that were part of the plan. It was the same group. I think it's the same. I don't know if New Orleans has done enough to crack that top 10. I don't know where Golden State is in this. I will say that I don't understand the Chris Paul trade at all. They needed somebody to come in and slow them down. Is that what I'm hearing? Your whole team is built around quickness and quick decisions and quick passes and quick shots, and now you want to slow all that down? That seems not like what the Golden State Warriors are about. So I didn't understand that at all. And we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that works. I honestly don't even know if they make it through the whole year with Chris Paul without going, all right, we made a mistake. So we'll see. But we're playing basketball. We love that bird.
4th down.
All right, let's finish her up here. You know, I've been doing. I was gonna talk about some baseball. I mean, we're still right here in the thick of it. We're just past the All-Star break, and we're starting to dwindle down to the last good teams. We'll see some big trade deadline stuff, I think. As far as the Astros go, we're gonna get Jose Altuve back. We're going to get Yordan Alvarez back. We're going to trade for Marcus Stroman. Count us out. I fucking dare you. But it's really all about Shohei and where does Shohei go. I'll talk about it in next week's podcast, just kind of what I think about Shohei. We'll start it off with baseball next week. But I wanted to talk about TV shows. I was sitting there thinking, somebody asked me best TV shows of all time. It's tough. You know, first of all, you have to, in my opinion, separate drama from comedy. They're not the same thing. I cannot compare Breaking Bad to The Office. They're not equals. It's not the same performances. It's not the same way that they're shot. There's not the same storylines written out for it. There's not the same arc in characters. So there's no way that I can compare the two. But I did do a little top 5 for each, for drama and comedy, and I think for the comedy is pretty straightforward for me. Now, this is me and what I think's funny. You're not going to get any fucking 2.5 Men on here, or Everybody Loves Raymond, or fucking Seinfeld. You're not going to get any of those basic-ass shows. Friends isn't on here either. As far as comedy that has shaped me, that I watch again and again and again, that I think is so fucking funny, it's The Office. Number 1 is The Office. It's the best, probably the best show of all time. Up until the point that Steve Carell goes to the airport and leaves, to me, that is where The Office America officially ends. There's a little after party that I don't particularly care for, where they ruin Andy's character and kind of make Dwight a weirdo. But The Office to me is hands down the best. Hands down. I love it. I've watched it so many times, and I think it's the best. Number 2 is tough. I have a lot of close seconds to that. That basically 2 through 5 could all be interchangeable in my book, but number 2, I went It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. We're watching it again right now. Those guys have a direct line to my funny bone. It's so weird and kind of niche, you know. It's so awesome. Their form of comedy is not anything like The Office or anything really. You don't really find anything like It's Always Sunny. So as far as degenerate characters, I just thought It's Always Sunny has got to be one of the best. Number 3, I put Parks and Recreation. Just like The Office, I think that the way they touch on your feelings, the way they break all these characters down, the timing of all the funny that happens in it. I wasn't a Parks and Recreation fan at first. We binged it all during the quarantine when we were all locked up. And it's just amazing. Amazing show. Number 4, Modern Family. If you've never watched Modern Family and you're like, oh, well, that's a basic answer. You should watch it because I promise you will laugh hard at Modern Family. They have some of the best writing, I think. It's probably one of the best made, just of the production value, especially for a comedy show, and just all around fantastic show. Number 5, this is me. This is my personal belief. This is in my heart that they make me laugh, and it is Workaholics. They are so weird, just like the It's Always Sunny group. Those guys are hilarious to me, and I think that you either have to be really well written, like The Office, Parks and Rec, and Modern Family, or you have to have something weird about you that kind of brings me in. And it's Always Sunny and Workaholics for sure. One that I struggled with and I really didn't know. I thought I really should be in there because I love it. And Andy Samberg has a direct line to my funny bone too. I love Hot Rod. I love everything Andy Samberg's ever, Pop Star. Everything Andy Samberg's ever done is hilarious. And it was Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I think it's an hilarious show. But it just didn't quite make it. I had to put Workaholics ahead of it, but it's an honorable mention, number 6. So comedy, pretty straightforward, right? I think a lot of people would agree with those. Some people might disagree. Some people might be putting Seinfeld and Frasier and God knows what else in there. To me, those shows are the funniest. They make me laugh the hardest. They are to me really, really great shows. Drama is a little tougher. Now, I will say the ending is a big part of what makes a drama show successful or unsuccessful. There are a lot of great drama shows that I've watched that have fucked up the ending so bad that it has made me have to go, no. And actually, other than number 1 and number 2 on this list, the endings of number 3 and number 4 and number 5 are so bad that they make you go, is this a good show? What the fuck? Not really 5. I struggled with the 5th one. Honestly, the top 4 for me, I think would be the top 4 for a lot of people. Number 1 is Breaking Bad. How is it not? How's it not Breaking Bad? It's of course Breaking Bad. The ending is perfect. The acting is perfect. Storyline is amazing. It is suspenseful. It keeps you completely engaged the entire time. It is hands down the best show of all time. It's honestly not even close to me. And I love this number 2 show, but it's kind of far away from Breaking Bad, just as far as acting. Sons of Anarchy is number 2. I love Sons of Anarchy. I think the ending is also amazing. I think they ended it just right with what they did. Hey! Be quiet! Shut the fuck up! Shut up! Hush! But Sons of Anarchy is amazing, but it gets a little soap opera-y. It gets a little dramatic in Sons of Anarchy, not quite like in Breaking Bad, but that one's really, really good as well. Number 3, I put Game of Thrones. The ending of Game of Thrones is so fucking bad. It's so terrible at the end. And I'm literally talking about the last 10 minutes of season 8. I am into she goes crazy and she burns King's Landing in the ground. I'm into that eventually Jon Snow realizes I got to kill her because she's out of control. I'm into the dragon coming in, seeing what's happened, and lighting the throne on fire and melting it because it realizes this is the problem. They all want this stupid fucking thing. And then he picks up the girl, he flies away, and we fade to black like it's a 1980 Knight Rider fucking TV show. And we come to... So what you're telling me is that Grey Worm, the Unsullied, comes in. They see that Jon Snow's a man of honor and says, I killed her. I had to. She was crazy. And then he just goes, Grey Worm goes, the woman that I was sworn to protect, you killed her? Put your hands like this. You're under arrest, man. I've never arrested anybody. I'm a murderer. But for one time and one time only, we're gonna go talk about what to do with you. You are under arrest, mister. How dare you? No! They fight to the death right there. Come on! Give me something here. But it's just, and then what? We gather together a group of ragtag misfits We've got fucking Tyrion in this group that we didn't even fucking, a second ago he was arrested and we didn't even trust him. Now he's making decisions like, hey, you know what? We should give it to the cripple. Cripple should be the king. What? Why? Makes no sense. No sense. I hated the end. They send Jon Snow to the wall. You gotta be fucking kidding me. There are also multiple people that know Jon Snow is the rightful king, and they just don't, like, the Turley kid doesn't come forward and say, hey, by the way, like, look, I can show you Jon is actually the king and was probably more rightful king than she was because he's a man. Let's be real. Yeah. Game of Thrones, though, amazing show for when it was on. We didn't miss an episode. We loved it. Y'all know how I feel about House of Dragons. I can go suck a bag of dicks, but Game of Thrones, I think, is pretty obvious as the number 3. Number 4, I put Ozark. Again, really hated the ending. I thought they got a little out of control at the end. It didn't need all that. Ozark was doing fine just on its own, being this cerebral kind of smart thriller that kept you on the edge of your seat. And then there's this Javi guy that shows up, and now the sister Camila is trying to take over for Navarro, and you've got Jonah who makes the decision to be a murderer at the end. You ended a finale on a cliffhanger that there's not going to be any more. It makes no sense. Makes no sense. So I was not into the ending of Ozark. Was not into the ending of Game of Thrones. But I have to say they're great shows because they were great shows. And then Entourage. I put Entourage at number 5. I don't know if that necessarily counts as a drama, but I loved it. And I thought that there were dramatic moments. Obviously, Vince goes through his ups and downs. Vince is obviously the worst part of that show, which is hard because he's supposed to be like the lead. But all the supporting characters you care about way more. There are shows that people are going to scream about. Sopranos, The Wire, West Wing, House of Cards. You got to know about me that politics bore the fucking shit out of me. Anything that has to do with like a bunch of politicians sitting around and scheming together, I'm never going to be into that kind of show. That is so boring to me. It has no weight. It means nothing to me because I know that those fucking people that do that for real in real life, they're not real human beings either. They're just little lizard people that are sucking and fucking and going to Epstein Island. So for me to sit here and be like, oh yeah, I bet you that is what it's like down in the White House is so stupid. And Sopranos I've never watched, but it's pretty fucking old. And I would venture to say that it probably doesn't hold up too well. I'm sure if you watch The Sopranos now, you're like, it was good at the time, but I don't know if it really holds up now. And I have watched The Wire. I've watched 3 seasons of The Wire. And I sat there and said, what the fuck is everyone talking about? Have they just never seen, like, I grew up with Training Day and movies where people were killed and Heat and all kinds of movies where people were getting shot and killed for, robberies and drugs and shit. Had you just never seen anything like this before? I think you had. You had seen Scarface by that point. I don't know what people love about The Wire. I really don't. I tried. I watched 3 seasons of it. It's not good. It's very slow. It's a slow cop show. Come for me in the comments if you feel differently. I don't know how long this show has been, but I feel like it's been pretty long. It's been a while. It's been a month. I'm going to get back on it. I'm going to see you guys more. I hope you guys like the Ninja Turtle videos and me being a little gay boy. There's much more where that came from. But y'all have a good one. Fuck the algorithm. Fuck off. Fuck your mother. And we'll be back.